Okay, so man, I just had a pretty like in-depth conversation with my mom. Um it was really interesting. Um it was really interesting. Something that she mentioned is like my grandmother passed, and actually my godfather passed recently. Um but she was talking about how basically, before my grandmother passed, she was really sick. And other family members wanted to keep like a tube down her throat or something, and she didn't want to see her suffer, so she didn't actually visit her until like it was like the day before or the day she went home, and then she ended up passing like one day later, and she saw her like the day before she passed, and she made a conscious decision to like not see her mother in pain. And I thought that was interesting. But I thought about like my own, how do I say, I thought about my own like situation and my own, I guess like life and choices, and really like some of the things that I am experiencing right now. And it really like I care so much about justice. And like my mom was like echoing that sentiment where she's like, you care so much about justice, you're going to go above and beyond to get justice. And that's true. That is just like the person that I am. Like if that's another thing about me that's very interesting, like I really do wear my emotions on my sleeve. And I think that it is very difficult for, it's not everybody, but for some people, because they have never seen like emotional black people before. They've just seen all of these like caricatures of like blackness, and especially like black womanness. Like I was listening to the way that like Ben Shapiro was talking about Megan the Stallion and Cardi B, and like I don't know. It's just, it's very interesting. And like, he even knew who Sexy Red was, which was super interesting. Like, I barely even knew who Sexy Red was. And it just reminded me, like, why so many people in this particular society see, like, black women a particular way, because, like, they don't have some other image. Like, they don't have some other experience of, like, they don't have some other experience of like a black person that they know in real life who has demonstrated to them some form of humanity. That's why like you hear some people saying like, oh, if we enter this space they will have to change. The reason people say things like that is what it actually means is that like, when, how do you say this, like, just the sheer fact of like you being in a place, you don't really have to do anything extraordinary, but just the fact that you're there, it changes something about someone's ability to dehumanize you. It's the people who get in my comments and they start talking about how like I'm obese or something. It's like words really mean things. Like there are actual people who are struggling with obesity. Like I personally am not struggling with obesity, but like I definitely think that like physical health, right, is something that we should be concerned with. It's something that we should, you know, something that we should care about, I should say. And then another thing that I really got from the conversation with my mom today is like the need to set boundaries and the need to set expectations. And what I mean by that is, how do I say? Okay, so what I mean by that is we sometimes it seems like sometimes society, especially American society, will offer you the bare minimum. As a Black woman, you need to know this. Society is going to offer you the bare minimum. Okay, they're going to show you the guy who has no ambition. They're going to show you the poor guy. They're going to show you the rapper. They're going to show you the guy who he does not believe in monogamy. They're going to show you poverty. Okay, they're going to show you the ugly apartment. They're going to show you all of these things that are not ideal. It's not like the top of the lid. There's not the pick of the litter. Okay, they're not showing you the Beyonce experience, the Taylor Swift experience. They want to show you Sexy Red and Cardi B, or even worse than that. I don't know, whatever would be that. And it's going to be up to you to have like standards for yourself and boundaries for yourself and expectations for yourself that say that, like, I'm not going to accept this as truth. I'm not going to accept this as like my reality, because I don't want that. And I noticed for myself, I didn't really know what else to ask for, because there were just so fucking few examples of like Black women out in society who were doing things. Like, I didn't know how to communicate, like, oh, I want that. Oh, I would like to be that. I would like to do this. And even if I were to like kind of say that or feel that way, it could be difficult for other people in society to echo the sentiment, because they too had seen so few examples of people like me who had successfully done things. So they were under the impression, that like they could behave a certain way, or like do certain things with me, or that like I was unable to do certain things because this is the way that it's always been. This is what they've always seen. It might feel like I'm ranting, but I really do have a point here. The representation part is so fucking important. It's so important. And I was so naive, because like for so long I just felt like it wasn't necessary for me to like to show up and to represent. Okay, like and the weird part is like I'm like representing very normal things, sitting down, having opinions and ideas about stuff. Literally me filming, I'm like sitting on a fucking bench here. Okay, this isn't some how do you say, this is not a story of activism in a sense. Okay, this is like one example of sitting. But it is my very small way of influence. It is my very small way of influence, because I know and I feel now and in the past, I have felt such anger really about the package and the options that I feel like were afforded to me because I was me. And like I look at myself, and this is not a new thing. I've always looked at myself as being first Black, second female, and third great. I don't know. That's the way that I've seen myself, despite what other people have felt. And other people have not seen Black women that way. They've seen them in another way. And I feel like it's another thing on my channel that I continue to combat, which is like these stereotypes from Black males who just, some of them seem to have such hate toward Black women. And it's just frightening to me, and it makes me feel like I don't want to encourage people to birth more people who are going to continue with this like rhetoric of hate toward people like me. Like, it is okay for you to exist, in whatever way that you exist, outside of my existence that shouldn't threaten you in any way. Like, my existence shouldn't threaten you. And I don't actually understand why it does, but for a few reasons. And if I feel like it's been happening for a while where, my existence is threatening other people. And that's very strange. It's very strange. Like, I don't like that sentiment. And I don't know. I don't like living in a society knowing that just my life. I want my life to be as valuable to other people as it is to me. And I'm not asking for more compassion, but I am expecting like the same level of compassion that people have for themselves. I want them to have that level of compassion for me. I feel like each day I'm surrounding myself with more and more people who see me as a human, which is such a positive thing for me, especially given from where I've come. I feel like I'm transitioning from a place where the dehumanization efforts put forth by the society to specifically target me have been extremely effective. And it has been my responsibility as an individual, which is so strange, to like push back against some common narrative and to instead showcase through myself and my ideas ways that I feel, ideas that I have, experiences that I have gone through, overcome, and really like honest perceptions that I've had about this society. Yeah. And I think my mom asked me today, she said, "Are you in law school yet? Are you a lawyer yet?" And I said, "No, I'm not. But I function as a lawyer because," and I've insinuated this a few times, I have like 15 pending lawsuits. And I win my lawsuits typically. So probably most of these I will win as well. And some of these I'm going to turn into channels, but we'll talk about that later.